Hi guys. So, our current bizarre government, this is like 2 days after they told the government to go fuck itself. Anyway, Parliament had a vote on gun laws. Skål. So let's have a look at that, shall we? Let's see here. Boop. There we go. So, vapenfrågor, gun questions. Justitieutskottet, which would translate to Justice Committee, I guess, have handled a bunch of suggestions for gun laws. So let's go through them. New government agency for handling gun licensing instead of the Swedish police. That should be implemented. The government should work for shortening of licensing, the time to get a license for firearms. So right now it can vary a lot over Sweden, but it's usually in Stockholm it's been 12 weeks for a long time, which is bullshit. As soon as possible, there should be an oversight of the firearms legislation, because now it's the same legislation for legal gun owners as it's for the criminals, basically. So if someone is late with their paperwork, a very serious crime, which is bullshit. He's not a criminal. He had a paperwork accident, basically. The wording synnerliga skäl in the gun law needs more explanation. Okay, so back in the 30s in Sweden, we had a lot of communist infiltrators from Comintern. The current left-wing party back then was directly under the Soviet Communist Party, stuff like that, and they wanted to arm themselves to start a revolution. So they put in the wording synnerliga skäl as a qualifier to get a firearms license, at least handguns and machine guns. And that is as close to totally banned as you can get in legalese in Swedish. But obviously we can have handguns and machine guns, so but the police is using this wording, and the president has set a long time ago for it to deny licensing. In the end, this is to get rid of 5-year licensing for handguns and machine guns. Right. The licensing process when you change a firearm should be simplified, which means if I have like a bolt action 308 and I want like a more modern one or something, I want to change the rifle for some reason, and I want another one that's equal to that in equal capacity, I guess, a bolt action similar one, I should be able to turn in the old one and get a new one without involving the police or whoever handles the licenses. Demands for what's required for a gun license should be exemplified. So it's a bit vague right now. The demand for licenses for suppressors should be removed. And now this is the one I like, because I have tinnitus and I have a shitload of suppressors, and I know the Swedish police refuses to hand out suppressor licenses for anything except like 223 and above and on a hunting license in Sweden right now, and they make up bullshit reasons for why they want to deny that. I have suppressors for every firearm I own, but other people can't have that. I've made videos on how to get your suppressors, which are not valid anymore, basically because the police just refuse to follow the law and their own rules. So I found the part in the larger document that handles this. So the highlighted text says in English, since the government has itself put forward the issue with licensing for suppressors as finalized by them. So usually it's the parliament makes a suggestion for the government to implement. So the government is the executive branch, and parliament is basically the representatives of the people who has final say and actually votes on stuff to be implemented. So the government has to write the actual law, and our current government has called this issue finished, and they came to the conclusion that we shouldn't have licenses on suppressors. But they haven't, of course, implemented that. And so this is a Justice Committee that says the government should, as soon as possible, come back with a suggestion on how to remove the licensing requirements for suppressors. Yeah, as soon as possible. As soon as possible in this case would be next month, because we swap laws between the change of the month between June and July and the new year. So 2 times a year usually. That's obviously not going to happen because we don't have a government. We voted it away this Monday. Yeah. Anyway, what else here? So hunters should be able to own more hunting rifles, basically. And European firearms passports, so we can take a rifle and bring it to another European country. It acts as a license in that country, basically. Sweden do not recognize other countries, but we do have a European firearms passport. Let's see if I have mine easy. No, I have it in my gun safe. Never mind. I have one for some rifles. And rules about buying and selling firearms and who gets to approve shooting ranges, because the Swedish police have made up bullshit rules on shooting ranges as well. They do everything to fuck us with gun ownership. So there were 24 motions from Parliament. The Justice Committee went through them and they were finished June 3rd. So a couple of weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago. Then we had a debate this week, yesterday actually. No, it wasn't. Last week. The 17th. Same day they turned in the vote of non-confidence for the government. Because we already had 17 of these things voted through Parliament, but the government doesn't give a shit. So this is just one more reason to tell our current government to GTFO. Anyway, and today, June 22nd, we had a decision. So let's look at this. Let's see, which one was this? This is something else regarding gun crimes. So that didn't pass. I'm not sure which one that was, so never mind that. Hand grenades, magazines, blah blah blah. Gun smuggling. Okay. So new government agency to handle gun licensing. Yes, that'll happen. I guess sometime. If the current government, if you get a government and it gives a shit. Regarding gun licensing, and speed it up basically. That passed. To have an oversight of the gun legislation overall. Yes, to that as well. Remove this synliga skäl wording in the gun law, and that passed as well. When changing guns, you don't have to involve the licensing bullshit. That passed as well. Same with the demand for gun licensing, and also licensing for suppressors. So whenever they get around to change the law, they basically only have to delete one row in the law. I can just go out and buy a suppressor, like I buy it'll be easier to buy a suppressor than a can of beer in Sweden. I have to go to certain government monopoly stores to buy this beer. Fuck, Sweden is like living in a prison sometimes. Anyway, so that's gonna be removed someday, I guess. Yeah, they tried to remove licensing for muzzle loaders because it's bullshit. We have a licensing for muzzle loaders, but that didn't pass, unfortunately. And who voted against that? Actually, the moderates voted. Let's see here. So the Justice Committee said deny this motion. So if you vote yes, you agree with the Justice Committee, and if you vote no, you want no licensing for muzzle loaders. So the moderates doesn't want licensing for that, the Swedish Democrats doesn't want licensing for that, and the Christian Democrats doesn't want licensing for that. The Social Democrats, the Center Party, the Communists, and the environmentalists and the libertarians all voted for having a license for muzzleloaders. Fuck you guys. Being able to own more guns, yes. And these were something else. And European firearms passport was approved as well. Same with buying and selling firearms. And same with looking over shooting ranges. So don't have the police do that anymore. Let's see here. Where's the button? There's the button. Right, people. So this is in theory good news if we had a government, and if that government actually gave a shit about parliament or constitution or whatever you want to call it. Those documents say that all power in Sweden comes from the people, and in Sweden parliament is the voice of the people. Our current government doesn't give a shit about the people, which is natural because 60% of the people in Sweden voted against this current government, but we still got this current government after the most unparliamentarian shit all over our system that ever could have happened the last election, called Januariöverenskommelsen, or JÖK, the January deal, or whatever you want to call it in English. But this is still good news, I guess. So yeah, we had a lot of these votes going through parliament in the last couple of years. I think if I remember correctly, we're up to 27 law changes in favor of gun owners. None have passed or actually been implemented. They've all passed, but the government doesn't care about parliament. So yeah, nothing's probably going to change, even though the vote of no confidence for the government passed. They're going to be back, and even if you get a new extra election, probably nothing much going to happen anyway. So what we can do if we want these things to actually come into pass is to keep nagging our politicians. Go to riksdagen.se and just find the mail address to your representatives and keep pounding them nicely, of course. No bad words, people, please. Yeah, okay, well, that's good news Tuesday, I guess.